Alright, what's up everyone? Today we're going to try something completely different, and I've always wanted to do this, so let's give it a shot. Welcome to the E's Foreign Auto YouTube channel again, and check it out. Here's my personal Corvette behind me. Now, I've always wanted to make a video like this just because simply this is probably one of my favorite cars I've owned, and that says a lot because I've owned a lot of cars. Quick walk around here. Sunset is beautiful today. We just decided, hey, it's about time we come out here and get you guys a good little bit of content on this puppy. All right, so let's talk about some stuff that's actually done in this car. So if we check out the engine bay over here, we got a Cordes Performance ice tank. It's front mounted. I wanted everything that I kind of did to this car after owning it to be reversible. Let's say if you don't want that, if you want it back to stock, you don't want it all crazy, you can unbolt the throttle body, you can unbolt the intake, you could take the meth out and go back to factory. But who wants factory? Factory is boring. It's got a ported blower, it's got long tube headers, 2-inch long tube headers, Cooks, 103mm throttle body, methanol injection, a pretty big lower pulley. I'm not going to say the size because that needs to be secretive to this car for now. I actually did have that custom made, by the way. 5-inch intake. Big gulp, of course, for all the whining. Looks amazing. Extreme Online Store front lip, 3.5 front lip. Stage 3 side skirts. If we talk about the wheels, it's got obviously the skinnies in the front, 15-inch conversion for the party in the back. Right now, the tires that on the rear is a Nitto NT555R. These tires are pre-COVID specials, as my Evo tuner would call them. They're a 100 treadwear tire, but on a Corvette, they do like to party. As in party, get squirmy, get all over the road, and not go anywhere but towards a ditch. So if you have a Corvette, a C7 or a C6, if you want tires that actually hook, I would refrain from going with these. Probably do like a Mickey Thompson Street Slick versus these. I don't know. This is my first time owning these Nittos, and I'm just not impressed by them. Nothing against Nitto, but 900 plus foot-pounds of torque, and these tires just doesn't cut it, especially for the street. They're great for burnouts. They're smoky. They will do anything and everything but hook on a Corvette. If you get your Corvette to hook on this, you're probably a guy with a Motec ECU and a tuner that really knows what he's doing. Exhaust, actually, believe it or not, besides the X-pipe and the actual header itself, is bone stock. The axle back is completely stock. It has stealth mode. It has everything it needs to retain the factory styling. It's quiet when it needs to be. It's loud when you need it to be. And actually, this car, if you put it in 5th gear, it pretty much goes silent in stealth mode on its own. The interior is fairly simple. There's really nothing done to it. It's got an MGW shifter, and that's really it. I mean, it's got a gauge back there, but that's hidden. Again, I wanted everything to be reversible. I didn't want to add a pod or anything crazy. I have driven so many cars. This car, by a long shot, gets the most credit. It's fast. It looks just amazing. If you don't like the way these look, I don't know what to tell you. You just don't have good taste in cars, I guess, and I'll be honest with that. I mean, this is probably one of the best looking cars for the money. It makes the power, again, it makes all the right noises. The cam just sounds amazing. When Chevy designed this car, they knew what they were doing. Hands down, best car so far. Now, the next car I'm getting, everything I just said is still going to stay true to this car, but hopefully the next car I get impresses me more than this one did, and I don't know if that's even possible at this point. So just because I run a foreign auto shop doesn't mean that I don't like Corvettes, because in my opinion, this Corvette, the C7, is the most iconic Corvette for Chevy. The C8, I don't really get along with. The C6, it's still a C6. It's made out of plastic. It's just, the interior is trash. You know, unless you have a ZR1, and that's, again, on a totally different spectrum. I mean, for this being a 1LT car, I mean, the bolsters, beautiful. Electric seats. That is one thing I did want to do to this car while I owned it, but, again, I just left it alone. This car also only does have 16,000 miles. So The car's full PPF and everything, so it's immaculate. So obviously owning an example like this of a Corvette is a little bit different than buying a high mileage one of these for a lot cheaper. It was always a dream of mine to own one of these just because I know what the C6 was, and obviously the C7 everyone claims is way better. So here we go, guys. Let's go do some driving around and some rips and see why the C7 Z06, in my opinion, is probably the best American car that you can actually afford to buy. Car that you can go to the bank and get a loan for in a snap of a finger if you have a somewhat good credit score and a little bit of money to put down. It's time for a drive. Let's take this puppy out and I'll show you why this thing is awesome. First reason why it's really awesome is you go on driving mode, you click on sound management and stealth mode. Bada bing, bada bang. Silent. Not exactly silent, but a lot quieter than a open exhaust Corvette. One of the most dramatic differences between stealth and the actual valves being open is the fact that I've never heard of BMW, Mercedes, Audi, any higher end cars, never heard any of them have this big of a difference. Insane feature. But for now, we're going back in the track. It's a little chilly right now, so we can't go too wild. Obviously, also I have a passenger. You want to keep everyone safe. There's no point to go absurd. That's what the track is for. Woo. Roll up these windows. All right, so right now we're in track mode. Just cruising down the highway. Car drives straight as an arrow. Skinnies. Everyone always asks, is it bad to run skinnies? I personally like the skinnies. I feel like the minuscule corrections that I need to make to keep the car going straight down the road really is making it easier to control. I found that when running the actual factory wheels up on the front with these giant 15-inch super thick rears, I've had a problem. It really makes it hard to control the car. It is any little tiny change you make, it just wants to spin the car around. It could be that I'm a bad driver. I'm used to driving fast Evos, I'm used to driving fast BMWs. When it comes to any of my Corvettes, I always leave the skinnies in the front with the party in the back. We're gonna try to do a little tiny rip right here, see what goes down. Woo! Spinning like crazy. I'll do a little 30-gear hitter. Fourth, but this thing is just gonna spin, I bet. Yeah, it's blowing the tires off even there. Can't really get on it no more. The weather's now 71 degrees outside. The concrete's cold. Nights are getting cold. That's just part of living in Nebraska. Once this concrete cools down, these tires aren't the best again for hooking, but even when it's hot, it's pretty bad. But let's go. If you want to talk about a fun car, this thing all the way around. It's got the torque, it's got the horsepower, it's got all the sounds, and like I said, driving it, we can click her into stealth mode now and just cruise along like it's a completely stock car. It's still got heat, AC, everything works, functions like it should, and if you punch that gas pedal down, you got 1,000 horsepower. That's simple. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I always wanted to kind of make this video to just kind of show a little bit of the Corvette. Not the best at making these type of videos because I'm kind of biased towards cars that I really do like. But this car, if you've driven a C7 Z06, you know what it's like. I personally, I'm not too big of a fan of the automatic 8-speed. I do understand for speed, that is the way to go. But I like banging gears. I like having a car that, you know, puts me in my seat and makes me try to make it go fast. It helps you know the car better. It makes you feel like you're actually in control and you have control of when it shifts, how it shifts. And I feel like you lose a lot less power through a manual. Sure, you're a little bit slower because you're, you know, shifting it by hand and reaction times and stuff like that. But again, for a complete all the way around driver's car, C7 Z06, you will not be stumped. You will not be mad you bought it. You will actually enjoy it. It's probably going to be one of your favorite cars you've ever owned if you've never owned one of these. And if you have owned one, you probably know that exactly what I'm saying is pretty spot on, even in your experience. So hopefully you guys like this, and we'll just rock from there. Get a little bit more context behind the C7 Z06 and what's kind of done to this car and why it makes me feel the way I feel about them. So you might ask yourself now, am I ever going to get another one of these? 100% I will have another one of these. Next car I want to have will be all black C7 Z06, and I already have the wheels picked out. I already have, you know, the mods picked out. I have the exhaust picked out. I have everything picked out. Obviously the next one, the plan is to have a much faster one and probably slap some twin turb skis on it or something. This car, again, it's 16,000 mile, full PPF, immaculate condition car. There's plenty of them out there for sale that I could go ruin instead of this one. This car at the power level it's at now, maybe a quick little 100 shot of nitrous will, you know, make it even better. Obviously more powerful and faster. But after that, with this LT4, I think it's the best to keep it at that kind of power level and just have a car that is fast, looks good, and is a great example of the car, rather than throwing some crazy blower on it and ruining the car and then taking it back off and doing all that stuff, because then you're going to be scratching everything in your bay, making everything not look right. So thanks everyone, and see you next time.